Today we're going to talk about the 8 most important parts of a road trip. And no, they're not what to pack, what to bring, where to go. They're the aspects of the ritual, which sounds a little bit funny, but it actually is going to help us understand road trips a lot better and help us understand just why we do them, what the most important parts are. So we're going to do this using Dell Hyme's framework of analyzing rituals, and it's called SPEAKING. It's a cute little acronym. S stands for scenes, and the scenes just is where it happens, and that's both physical and physiological. So kind of like what kind of scene is your mind in? How are you thinking and feeling? The scenes are on the road. We're going throughout America. Often it's in the West. And then there's some important places too. So there's rest stops, gas stations, there's small towns, there's landmarks like we talked about in the fundamentals of caring. The physiological scene is craving or hungry. And Paul Theroux talks about this idea of that we are hungry for more. We are craving that road and that journey. P stands for participants. So according to Stephanie Rosenbloom, the people that are taking road trips the most often, first is baby boomers, probably because they're retired. Second is Gen Xers, without children mostly. Third is retirees, like I said with the baby boomers, young families, and then millennials. So those are the 5 main groups of people that are taking road trips. And then, of course, the middle class is mostly who is taking these road trips because they can't quite afford to take that private jet somewhere, but they can afford to still go on a vacation, still have that family trip. And then Stephanie Rosenbloom also says that these road trips are occasionally solo, but most frequently you find them with others, especially in family settings. And so people do take road trips alone, or they do take road trips with their friends, but a lot of times you see people taking road trips with their families. E stands for ends. And so the ends, they could be the destination, but then why wouldn't you fly? Why wouldn't you take that road trip? Or why would you take that road trip if you could just fly to there? So the ends for a road trip are catharsis, you're seeing your family, having those new experiences, or finding a connection to your past. How I talked about how American history is so ingrained in that road trip, and then there's also history all throughout this country. A stands for acts, and so there are 2 types of acts. There's substance and sequence. So substance is what's actually happening, and sequence is the order that those things are happening in. So substance, there's of course the driving, and then there's also going long distances. Rosenbloom talks about how people don't consider it to be a road trip if it's less than 8 hours from home. So if people are going to take a road trip, they are going to most likely take it 8 or more hours away from their home. And so there's where that long distances really comes into play. And then there's also food. There's road trip snacks. There's fast food, all sorts of fun things that happen with food that are those substance. Then the sequence acts. So first you have to leave your home. You have to leave what's familiar. Then you travel and you take that journey. And then, of course, there's the destination. Maybe you're doing something there, but then there's returning home. And there's that contrast between traveling and the way there and then returning home. Especially because returning home, you're coming back to the real world. You're coming back to your life and having as many responsibilities, whereas a road trip, you are kind of free of that. K stands for keys, and the keys are that just those essential parts. What has to be happening, what has to be feeling, what people have to be feeling. And so those keys in the road trip are that people are excited and they are looking for more. They want more than just what their hometown gives them. I stands for instrumentalities. These are just, again, essential parts, so that it's long, that it's driving, and a lot of it is owning your own car. Some people do rent cars for their road trips, but a lot of it is kind of feeling at home in your car, that your home is traveling with you and that you're not completely in this unknown space. Norms, and these are things that are what you do or things that you don't do, that are accepted or unaccepted in the ritual. So things that are accepted for the road trip ritual are staying in hotels or spending most of the day driving and stopping at landmarks. One thing that's really not accepted in a road trip is kind of just staying in a hotel, just relaxing, taking it slow. A road trip really requires that sense of moving and going until you finally get to your main destination. That one point that you're headed to. But until then, you keep going. Maybe you'll stop somewhere for the night. But as soon as that sun starts rising, you're out on the road again. G stands for genres. And so the genre of the ritual, kind of the scene, like how it takes place, when it takes place, it's just when people are looking for more, like those keys, they're looking for more, they're excited, and like Paul Theroux said, they're craving, they're hungry. That's speaking, and we can see it by looking through this framework that the road trip really is a ritual, and maybe we don't think of that it is that, but rituals, they really are not. They're not outdated. They're not they're not super repetitive. They're not like we're chanting something. Those are some common misconceptions, but rituals really are just common practices in our culture, and the road trip really is a ritual, as we can see by looking through this framework. So thanks for watching.